Let's take a look at this endgame, computer-generated chess problem 01023 by Chesthetica. Now the obvious thing to most players would be, oh look, there's a rook there. How about we capture it? And suddenly white will be able to win this position, or even promote the pawn to a queen. This should also be a winning position for white. And they are. But neither of those moves are actually the fastest way to win. I'll now show you the solution. So alternative mates take about 9 moves, whereas the fastest mate is just in 5 moves. And surprisingly, it is promoting the pawn to a rook. Now here, white is threatening rook to h7 checkmate. So black tries to buy some time, for example with rook to b4 check. The king captures the rook, king b7, rook to g8. The general idea here is to move the rook away, but not to double it with the other rook. Maybe king to a7, rook to h7 check, king to b6, and then rook to g6 checkmate. Now you can see why the rooks were not supposed to be doubled. So let's take a look at what would have happened if white played king captures rook. Well, now black can play king to b7 and can prevent the pawn from promoting, or will be able to capture the pawn. White could also try something like rook to c6, in which case if king captures c6, white gets his queen, but black can still delay for quite a bit of time. And what if white had promoted to a queen? Well, then black will play rook to b4 check. And now if king captures b4, that's a stalemate. So the king has to move to c6, and then here black plays rook to b6 check, king to c5, rook captures h6, and now there's even more work for white to do in order to win. What if black were to play here rook to c4? Well, then white could play king to d7. Of course, capturing the queen here leads to a fast mate. So rook to d4, rook to d6, and mate is delayed, but not delayed as much. So the proper continuation for black in this position would be rook to b6, as shown earlier. And what if white decides to move to c5 then? Black just continues with rook to c4 check. White can move to b5, but then rook captures c8, and this is a draw. And rook to a5 means black can play rook to b5 check, and after king to a4, rook to b4 check, king to a3, rook to b3, and what we have is a perpetual check. This is why white has to move to c6, and the best black can do is rook to b6 check. So under time controls, white might actually lose this game if he does not play precisely. Looking back at the original position, it would be difficult for most beginners and intermediate players even to see the correct move here. So I'll play it for you once more. c8 promote to rook. Now if black was a beginner or intermediate player, he would be equally surprised. Remember here, black has to prevent rook to h7 mate. So if king to b7, white could play rook on the h file to c6, threatening rook 6 c7, checkmate. So black would still have to play rook to b4, king captures b4, king to a7, king to b5, king to b7, rook 6 c7 mate. So after the promotion to rook, black plays rook to b4 check. It's safe for the king to capture the rook because the black king can move to b7. If there was a queen on c8, that would not be possible. It would be a stalemate. Then as before, either rook to f8 would work as well, or g8, king to c7. Earlier I showed you king to a7, but if the king moves to c7, well then rook to g7 check, and then this will be followed by mate when black moves to the 8th rank. So king to a7 was the original line, rook to h7 check, king to a6 or b6, and rook to g6 mate. Thank you for watching.